If Niccolò Machiavelli were alive today, he wouldn't be writing books. He would be orchestrating empires from the shadows. He wouldn't be tweeting or posting. Instead, he would be the unseen hand pulling strings so subtly that it would seem like destiny. In a world increasingly obsessed with visibility, Machiavelli would master the art of invisibility, wielding control with a deftness that few could comprehend. Today, I will outline for you 21 psychological rules for total control, inspired by what Machiavelli would do if he were among us. Men generally judge more by what they see than by what they truly experience. To control how others perceive you is to control their actions. Rule 1. Always let them underestimate you. Machiavelli understood that true power is safest when concealed. In today's society, where individuals rush to prove their worth, flaunt their credentials, and assert dominance, Machiavelli would choose a different approach. He wouldn't enter a room loudly. He would enter last, observe first, and speak only when least expected, delivering words that others dared not voice. By doing this, he would command the room without being noticed until it was too late. Let them think you are quiet, harmless, or even small. When others perceive you as no threat, they will expose themselves fully, leaving you with the perfect opportunity to strike from an unanticipated position. The key lies in maintaining the element of surprise, allowing you to control the narrative before they realize what has happened. Rule 2. Charm is often more dangerous than truth. In our hyper-connected, image-obsessed culture, truth has become secondary to perception. Machiavelli knew that while everyone sees what you appear to be, very few experience your true self. Therefore, he wouldn't waste time proving his integrity. Instead, he would devote his energy to constructing illusions. He'd smile in boardrooms while deftly planting seeds of misdirection, charming enemies and feeding them false confidence until they were disarmed by his likability. This is the art of being perceived as good without necessarily being good. You don't need to be honest. You need to be persuasive. Don't correct how people see you. Exploit it. Let them crown you the hero while you quietly rewrite the ending to your own story. Rule 3. Create ambiguity on purpose. Most individuals fight to be understood, but Machiavelli would do the exact opposite. He would leave people guessing. One day cold, the next day generous, sometimes silent, sometimes intense. Not because he is confused, but because they are. Confusion breeds obsession. Obsession cultivates focus, and focus creates influence. When people cannot define you, they become fixated on you, analyzing every word and overinterpreting silence, orbiting your ambiguity in an attempt to make sense of what they cannot control. You are no longer just a person. You become a puzzle, and puzzles can become fixations. Machiavelli would assert that the people you control the most are those who think about you the most. Therefore, stop over-explaining, stop clarifying your position, and stop filling every silence. Leave gaps, speak in riddles, and smile when they ask questions you refuse to answer. This confusion breeds curiosity, and curiosity becomes gravitational. Rule 4. Control what they see while hiding what you do. In a world where every move is broadcast, Machiavelli would operate from the shadows. Everyone is busy building their personal brands, sharing updates, and displaying their successes. But once people see how you move, they begin to prepare countermeasures, forming alliances, building narratives, and planting traps in your path. So, what would Machiavelli do? He would keep his output public while keeping his input private. He would appear transparent while concealing his true mechanics. A prince must always be prepared to act against loyalty, charity, humanity, and religion to preserve the state. In simple terms, appear noble, but move ruthlessly. Do not reveal your strategies or explain your systems. Don't divulge what you are building until it is already built. Let them think you are slow, let them think you are resting, and then pass them by with a silence they never anticipated. Rule 5. Build a mask and then let it fracture. Machiavelli understood something every manipulator knows. Perfection is forgettable, while flaws are addictive. You create a mask of confidence, poise, intelligence, and calmness. But just once, allow it to crack. Reveal a controlled imperfection, a sharp word, a calculated vulnerability, a sudden burst of insight that shows you are far deeper than they realized. Why? Because people do not obsess over what they already understand. They become fixated on what feels just out of reach. Give them 90% of the story, then go silent. They will chase that remaining 10% for years. A wise ruler should cultivate an appearance of virtue while being ready to act contrary to it. So, be the light, then flash the darkness. Let them glimpse the abyss and then close the curtain. You will become unforgettable, not because they loved the mask, but because they witnessed it slip, and now they crave to know what lies beneath. Rule 6. Always say less than necessary. When people talk excessively, they reveal their weaknesses, their need for validation, their fear of misunderstanding, and their emotional dependency on clarity. But the one who speaks with precision and stops before revealing too much dominates the room. Machiavelli didn't speak to be understood. He spoke to create distance. He wielded words like blades, not blankets. In negotiations, disagreements, or moments of tension, he might say one sentence, two at most, then allow silence to speak louder. That silence is where fear begins. Why? Because now they start to project. They wonder, what does he know? Why isn't he reacting? What is he planning next? You've said nothing, yet they have constructed a narrative in their minds where you become the villain they cannot outmaneuver. So, what do you say to maintain power? Just enough. Not to satisfy, not to impress, just to control the rhythm of thought. Then stop. Let them lean in, let them guess, let them sweat. Real mystery is forged in the space between words. Rule 7. Blur the line between threat and ally. In today's world, people obsess over knowing where everyone stands, who is on their side, who is against them, who is safe, and who poses a threat. Machiavelli would never allow them to feel that certainty. He would share a meal with enemies, compliment rivals publicly, and defend people he privately planned to remove. Why? Because when people perceive you as dangerous, they prepare for war. But when they think you are neutral, they sleep. And the best time to act is when they are complacent. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. Therefore, one must embody both traits. Compliment your enemy's ideas just before you outmaneuver them. Agree with the critic just before replacing them in silence. Appear passive until your absence becomes a weapon. Be warm, supportive, and disarming until the moment you need to act. By then, it's often too late for them to stop you. Rule 8. Make them feel safe right before you seize power. The easiest way to remove someone is not through confrontation, but by fostering a sense of security. Make them believe you are on their side, that you want them to win. Then, when they trust you, act decisively and quickly. By the time they feel betrayed, you are already in control. Rule 9. Make people dependent and then remove yourself. If Machiavelli wanted to dominate someone, he wouldn't threaten them. He'd help them in ways that gradually create dependence. He would teach them something no one else can, solve a problem no one else will, and provide stability they hadn't earned. He would become irreplaceable without ever asking for recognition and then quietly withdraw, not in anger or revenge, but simply as a means of self-preservation. Why? Because nothing destroys people faster than the sudden absence of what they have grown addicted to. Men are kept honest only by necessity. When they are free to act, they often become dishonest. Machiavelli would become your necessary illusion. The person you thought you didn't need until you lost them. That is how you become unforgettable. Create a void, make them lean on you, then pull back mid-step. They won't hate you. They will hate how much they need you and will spend years trying to fill that space. Rule 10. Weaponize the favor. Most people offer help to be liked, but Machiavelli would offer help strategically to create leverage. If he gave you something, he wouldn't let you forget it. He wouldn't collect with force. Instead, he'd collect with presence. You'd feel indebted, small, and a psychological imbalance that you couldn't fix. That's the goal. Offer them a shortcut, a solution, an advantage, then pull back slightly. You don't ask for anything directly. You simply let the imbalance linger until they start paying you back in loyalty, favors, information, or submission. If they forget, you remind them subtly. Remember that time I helped you? Just enough to make them realize you hold a piece of their pride. Favors, when utilized with patience, become psychological chains, and the longer they remain unacknowledged, the heavier they feel. Rule 11. Manufacture loyalty by allowing them to betray others for your benefit. Many believe loyalty is earned through kindness, but Machiavelli knew better. The best way to cultivate loyalty is to get someone to compromise for your advantage. You don't force betrayal, you allow it. Let them share secrets they shouldn't. Allow them to break small rules in your favor, and permit them to speak poorly of others to win your approval. You never ask directly. You just leave the door slightly ajar, and they walk right through. Now they are tied to you, not through admiration, but through complicity. People tend to protect what they have compromised for, and when someone betrays others in your favor, they are investing in you. Rule 12. Break alliances from the inside. Machiavelli didn't just outmaneuver individuals, he dismantled entire networks, not through confrontation, but through erosion. He would infiltrate the alliance and plant seeds of doubt and misalignment in values. He understood that the one who causes another to gain power ultimately ruins himself. He would identify the strongest bonds within the group and slowly infect them with suspicion. I heard he said something about you. Did you notice how she never defends you? Sometimes it only takes a whisper. You don't need to destroy the alliance, you just need to make them destroy it themselves. Let their fear of betrayal do the work for you. Once trust breaks within a group, the entire structure collapses without a single blow. Rule 13. Reflect their insecurities back at them. You want to influence someone to obey you without them realizing it. Make them feel seen, but only in ways that confirm their self-doubt. Use soft, carefully timed comments that resonate with their fears. Statements like, "You're really brave, especially for someone not used to attention," or "You always seem to pull through, even when people don't take you seriously," trigger agreement from their pain. Once you anchor yourself as someone who understands them, they begin to attach, defer, and move under your emotional gravity. Machiavelli recognized that fear and insecurity are far more effective than outright threats, as threats often trigger defenses. In contrast, insecurities open the door from the inside. Once you gain access, you become the only voice they trust. Rule 14. Never be the one holding the knife. In every betrayal, in every ruthless decision, Machiavelli adhered to one golden rule: let others do the dirty work. He orchestrated outcomes, whispered ideas, and influenced decisions without placing himself in the spotlight. When someone needed to be cut off, he made it seem as though they were never loyal to begin with. If someone needed to be removed, he let them self-destruct with just the right amount of provocation. When chaos was required, he fed both sides information and then stepped away before the fire ignited. Why? Because if you're seen as the executioner, you gain enemies. But if you're perceived as the inevitable alternative after someone else fails, you gain followers. This is the Machiavellian masterpiece. the illusion of clean hands. You orchestrated everything and controlled everyone, yet no one can prove it. Even if they suspect you, you're already seated where the last man stood. Rule 15. Say nothing and let them reveal everything. In any room, the most powerful person is rarely the loudest. It's the one who says nothing and observes everything. Silence is a weapon disguised as passivity. Machiavelli would navigate today's world of podcasts, rants, and digital noise by being the one who doesn't broadcast. He wouldn't fill the silence. He'd let others choke on it. If someone insults you, you say nothing. If someone asks for your opinion, you smile and allow them to continue speaking. If someone attempts to provoke an emotional response, you blink, remain quiet, and offer no reaction. That silence forces them to speak more, revealing their doubts, intentions, and vulnerabilities. You don't need to interrogate them. They'll divulge everything to fill the void you've weaponized. Never attempt to win by force what can be achieved through deception. Silence is one of deception's most elegant forms. Rule 16. Be unpredictable, but only when it matters. Machiavelli would never be erratic. Instead, he would be unreliable at critical moments. Predictability breeds manipulation. If people always know when you'll respond, they control the tempo. If they know how you react under stress, they'll plan their provocations accordingly. If they know you'll always take the high road, they will walk all over it. But if you sometimes forgive and sometimes disappear, if you sometimes engage and sometimes watch them implode, they will fear you, not because you are aggressive, but because you are unreadable. Machiavelli understood that men are driven by two principal impulses, love or fear. Fear is born from uncertainty, and the person they cannot predict is the one they cannot prepare for. Rule 17. Make your presence felt, even in absence. To dominate psychologically, you don't need to be present at all times. You need to ensure that your impact is felt when you're not around. How do you achieve this? By becoming the standard, the reference point, the shadow in every conversation. They second-guess their choices because of how you used to correct them. They cannot celebrate wins because they wonder what you would have done. They lack trust in others because they remember how precise your judgment was. This is psychological branding, rooted not in content, but in energy. You imprint your presence by how you behave when you are still in the room, measured, observant, controlled, and surgical. So when you're gone, they do not forget you. They compare everyone else to you. Machiavelli wouldn't need to fire people. He would create such a powerful memory that even in absence, they would still operate by his rules. Rule 18. Never threaten. Let fear do the work. Threats create resistance, while uncertainty breeds compliance. Machiavelli never needed to declare, "I will destroy you." Instead, he allowed others to wonder if he might. That uncertainty, that psychological pressure, is far more damaging than words. Here's how it works today. You don't need to announce, "I could expose you." You simply pause when they lie and observe them squirm. You don't say, "I'll ruin your chances." You make one call and say nothing else. You don't declare, "You're done." You merely disappear from their world, allowing them to panic over what you might do. Why is this effective? Because fear based on imagination is more potent than fear based on information. Once they fear your potential actions, they will begin working for your approval to avoid finding out what you might do next. Rule 19. Delay your revenge until it becomes devastating. Machiavelli didn't advocate for quick retaliation. He believed in observing and waiting, allowing offenses to fester until the timing was perfect. Injuries should be inflicted all at once to minimize their impact, while benefits should be granted incrementally. When someone wronged him, he didn't react immediately. Instead, he studied them, allowed them to relax, and let them believe they had escaped justice. Then, when they least expected it, he would move with precision, clean, calculated, and absolute. Revenge isn't merely about punishment, it's about control. When you react instantly, you let the other person dictate the tempo. But by delaying your response, you create an atmosphere of paranoia. They cannot savor their victories, cannot sleep soundly, and dread every moment of silence. This fear does more damage than any outburst ever could. Rule 20. Become a system, not just a man. Machiavelli never aimed to be liked, he sought to be respected. Not because of charm, but because his removal would mean dismantling the structure he controlled. This is the modern approach. Stop being just a name and start being a network, an idea, a standard, a strategy that is embedded in the operations of others. Train others to think like you and make yourself essential in systems no one else understands. Embed your voice in decisions that echo after you're gone. Even if they prefer not to have you, they will realize they cannot function without you. This is how legacies are formed, not just feared while present, but remembered in systems they cannot erase. Rule 21. Make them afraid to speak your name. The ultimate form of power is not recognition, it is a haunting presence. Machiavelli would be the figure referenced indirectly, someone whose name invokes caution. They wouldn't openly discuss him because even mentioning his name feels like invoking something larger than they can handle. You don't trend, you linger. You don't win arguments, you change the atmosphere. You become the one they fear discussing because everyone else in the room already knows the potential consequences of invoking your name. If Machiavelli were alive today, he wouldn't be shouting online or seeking followers. He would be hidden within power structures, shaping narratives behind smiles and silence. He would be the voice in your head whispering, "Don't respond, don't reveal, let them speak first." Most importantly, don't chase respect. Position yourself so they cannot breathe without it. This is how you win, not through fame or noise, but by creating a legacy that cannot be stopped. Embrace these principles, and you will navigate the complexities of power with a keen understanding of human nature, ensuring that you remain in control of your destiny.